What is rigid thinking all about? Let's start with one of her famous experiments. Praising effort is more important than praising intelligence for children. To examine the effects of praise on children, Professor Dweck recruited hundreds of elementary and middle school students and gave them 10 easy intelligence test questions. After completing the test, some students were praised for being smart. "Wow, you got 8 questions right. You're so smart." These students were then placed in a position of great talent. The other group of students were praised for being hardworking. "Wow, you got 8 questions right, you must have worked hard." The results were surprising. Those who were praised for being smart were less willing to choose more difficult questions in the following tests, even if these questions could teach them new knowledge. When the researchers arranged some very difficult questions and all the children performed poorly, those who were praised for being smart lost interest in solving difficult problems and their performance declined sharply. Even when they were asked to redo some easy questions, it was difficult to restore their confidence. In fact, when the researchers asked them to write down their scores and feelings about the questions on the test paper, about 40% of the students who were praised for being smart lied. They inflated their scores, and all of them reported higher scores. On the other hand, those who were praised for their hard work became more and more courageous, retaining their interest in solving difficult problems and performing better and better. This study is revolutionary. It proves that, contrary to what we think, praising children for being smart not only does not increase their confidence, but also weakens their resilience to setbacks. Why does praising children for being smart and praising them for being hardworking make such a big difference? Professor Dweck explained that praising intelligence and praising effort stimulate different mental models. Praising smart actually implies the idea that a person's ability is relatively fixed, and solving difficult problems is just a way to prove whether you are smart or not. Once children accept the idea that a person's ability is relatively fixed, and they are praised for being smart, they will naturally work hard to maintain their smart image. They will shift their attention from the challenge itself to self-focus. This is the characteristic of rigid thinking. On the other hand, praising hard work implies that a person's ability is not fixed, and we can develop our own abilities through hard work. Since a person's ability is not fixed, they do not need to prove themselves, and they can naturally focus on their efforts. The important difference between growth mindset and rigid mindset is whether we focus on self-proving or ability growth. A person with a rigid mindset is easy to give up when facing challenges, because they are afraid that difficult tasks will prove that they are not good enough. A person with a growth mindset welcomes challenges because they see them as opportunities for ability growth. A person with a rigid mindset thinks that hard work is shameful. If you need to work hard to do something, it means that you are not capable enough, so even if they work hard, they will do it secretly. A person with a growth mindset is proud of their hard work because they believe that hard work is a means of stimulating their abilities. They also have different views on criticism. A person with a rigid mindset is more likely to see criticism as a negative evaluation of themselves, while a person with a growth mindset is more likely to see criticism as feedback to help people improve. When a person with a rigid mindset sees others succeed, they see it as their own failure because others have done it and they have not, which proves that they are not good enough. A person with a growth mindset learns from the success of others, absorbs their experience, and makes it part of their own experience. Interaction with the real world promotes self-development. At this point, you may already understand that the essence of rigid thinking is a defensive mentality. People with rigid thinking will shift their attention from how to do things to how to maintain their "I am strong" self-image. There is also a sense of insecurity in interpersonal relationships behind this. As we mentioned in the first lesson on 2 mental models, exploring the world and developing abilities often require a sense of security as a foundation. Behind rigid thinking is actually a life assumption: my own value is evaluated by others. I am only valuable if I perform well, and others will think I am valuable. This anxiety naturally shifts our focus to self-proving. I have always believed that the self is actually a regulator or maintenance package. When everything is running smoothly, we don't have too much self-focus, but project our life energy onto the world itself. The world poses questions to us, and we work hard to answer them. At this time, our abilities gradually grow in our interaction with the world, and our self also becomes richer in this kind of interaction with the world. But when we feel insecure, we will shift our attention to ourselves, asking, what kind of person am I? How will others see me? Is what I am doing right or wrong? We want to develop ourselves by answering these questions, but in fact, because there is no real interaction with the world, our self-development is stagnant. Therefore, we should all develop ourselves in real interaction with the world, rather than clinging to a rigid self-concept. Regardless of whether this self-concept is smart, capable, sensible, or other, and regardless of whether this self-concept is evaluated by parents, teachers, leaders, or loved ones. Please remember, if you believe in change, what kind of person you are is not important, but how you develop is important.